Okay, so kindly confirm me if everything is audible, visible. Kindly confirm me once that everything is audible and visible. And also let me know if you have any doubt. And also if you have doubt. Yes, tell me. Do anyone has any doubt regarding the last class or in any other class? Any concept that has not been clarified very well from your side? From my side and like, you know what I mean? Kindly confirm me. Okay, I believe so there's no doubt. So good evening to everyone, one and all present here. Now we'll start our class and so basically the last class what I've talked about in the last class I have talked about basically we were talking about the coastal area and these things we're talking about, and today we'll talk about some more important concepts. Clear? So the first yesterday last class means on Friday. Okay, we have talked about the coastal plains and these kinds of things. So eastern and the western coast or western ghats we have talked about. Okay, so eastern ghats which are in the eastern side and western ghats which are on the western side. Very quite definition. And else what I told you is that these are the coasts that you need to remember properly. These are the coasts that you need to remember properly. But what is the coast? Is the, for example, Kathiawar coast, Konkan coast, Kannada coast, ठीक है, Malabar coast and Coromandel coast. Remember this thing. Coromandel is on this side, on the eastern side, and Malabar coast is on the western side. ठीक है, Andhra coast and Utkal coast. Utkal coast, for example, this Utkal word is also there in the national anthem. So in the national anthem, है ना? So it's like Brahman Utkal Banga. So Utkal word is also there in the national anthem. So it's also there in the national anthem. Utkal word is also there in the national anthem. Clear, everybody? Utkal word is also there in the national anthem. Now. ठीक है now, so basically this is the oral plane. One more thing you need to understand, otherwise these things we'll talk about in the moment we're going to discuss about the drainage system of the India. ठीक है, so the moment we're going to talk about the drainage system of the India, we're going to talk about these things too, but फिर भी यहाँ पर समझते हैं what are these things. Overall this is the western coast and this is the eastern coast. This is the eastern coast. Overall this western coast, it is slightly elevated. This western coast is slightly elevated or it is in height compared to the eastern coast. So eastern coast, it is in the you may say, for example, in the slopeward direction. So that is the reason that all the rivers or most of the river I should say, okay, from the west they move from the west to east, means in this direction they move. Why? Because this area is little bit elevated compared to the eastern area. Okay, so this is something you also need to know about. Clear? And overall, these overall rivers they will form the, not very much, but some delta here also. Okay. And overall, what I told you about these rivers, those are here in these eastern and western Ghats. So these are known as the seasonal rivers. है So two type of rivers I told you. ठीक है ना? Perennial river, है ना, perennial river or seasonal river means overall whenever there'll be enough rain, there'll be enough precipitation, only then these rivers are filled with the waters. Otherwise most of the time, most of the year they don't have that much water. ठीक है. Now we'll talk about these things. So this is the eastern and western Ghat. Clear? And apart from that, some lakes are also there. And remember, don't worry about these things. Right now, I'm not discussing the map. The moment I'm going to discuss the map, there each and everything of you will be cleared. Okay, we'll discuss each and everything in detailed manner. We are just right now going in the in an haphazard way. है ना? जो चीजें आ रही है वो cover कर रहे हैं. Buller Lake, and Buller Lake, it is also the clean water lake. It is in the JNK. Buller Lake is a clean water lake. ठीक है ना? And next is Sambar Lake. It is a salt water lake. Sambar, Sambar is also one dish which is salty in nature. So from there you may remember Sambar Lake, which is in the Rajasthan. And next is this Pulikat Lake. ठीक है ना? Pulikat Lake, and then we have the Kollu Lake and the Chilka Lake. So some of the lakes are there. Next, I will talk about the Coromandel Coast and the Northern Sarkar, or Utkal Coast. We have already talked about. Now, this is something important you need to understand about the Andaman and Nicobar. Andaman and Nicobar, first of all, what is this Andaman and Nicobar? So Andaman and Nicobar, this is nothing, just the extension of the Himalaya. So the extension of the Himalayas are known as the Andaman Nicobar, or the complete range is known as the Arakayama range. The complete range is known as the Arakayama range. For example, this is the map of India. So in this map of India from here, so this is the Himalaya. So Himalaya is coming from here, and then Uttarakhand Himalaya, and then the Uttarakhand Himalaya. This is the Punjab Himalaya, okay, and then the Sikkim Himalaya, Kanchenjunga, and then in Assam, sorry, in Meghalaya, Garo Khasi Jaintia, and then अरुणाचल अबोर डाफला मिरी मिश्मी ठीक है फिर उसके बाद नागालैंड हिल मिजो हिल मणिपुर हिल्स and then it comes down in the form of the Arakayama range. In the form of the Arakayama range. Okay, so this is the Arakayama range. Okay, this is the Arakayama range, and this Arakayama was further extended, or it itself called as the Andaman and Nicobar. So Andaman and Nicobar is no any special or any different island. It is just the stretch of the your Himalaya only. Okay, Andaman and Nicobar और अरेबियन सी आइलैंड ग्रुप ठीक है मेजर आइलैंड लक्षद्वीप है लक्षद्वीप इज 32 किलोमीटर एंड मिनिकॉय है ना लक्षद्वीप जो है वो मेजर आइलैंड है ठीक है ना यहाँ पर अंडमान निकोबार में जो कि 32 किलोमीटर है बेसिकली यहाँ से अगर काउंट करोगे तो ये 32 किलोमीटर पड़ेगा आपको ठीक है ना 32 किलोमीटर आपको पड़ेगा कहाँ से फ्रॉम द वेस्टर्न कोस्ट सो लक्षद्वीप इज समवेयर हियर यू सी सम डॉटेड पॉइंट्स हियर दीज डॉटेड पॉइंट्स आर द लक्षद्वीप 32 किलोमीटर 35 किलोमीटर अवे फ्रॉम दैट ठीक है ना Now I will talk about, just give me a second. Yes, this picture I want to talk about. Yeah, let me clarify. Overall, these are the islands that you need to understand. First of all, overall Andaman is classified into three sections. That is a Northern Andaman, Middle Andaman, and Southern Andaman. Clear? Overall, the Andaman has been classified into the three sections: Northern Andaman, this one, Middle Andaman, and Southern Andaman. So basically, the Andaman is classified into two types. So we talk in sense of the Andaman and Nicobar. Okay? We talk in sense of the Andaman and Nicobar. But if you see it clearly, so Andaman is itself classified into three types. That is the Northern, Middle, and Southern. ठीक है ना and then comes the little Andaman now let me clarify it from here the picture is not very much good in nature wait a minute okay let us understand from here only so first of all the Andaman has been classified to the Northern Andaman Middle Andaman Southern Andaman now and then comes the little Andaman north middle south and then comes the little Andaman now the South Andaman and little Andaman is separated by a pass known as the Deccan Pass. This is what you need to understand. South Andaman and Little Andaman, taking South Andaman and Little Andaman are separated by the pass known as the Deccan Pass. Known as the Deccan Pass. So Deccan Pass is a pass which separates the South Andaman and the Little Andaman. Next, Little Andaman and Nicobar. Little Andaman and Nicobar is separated by the 10-degree channel. This is the second kind of question. What is the first kind of question? First kind of the question is that overall South Andaman and Little Andaman are separated by what? So South Andaman and Little Andaman are separated by the Deccan Pass. South Andaman and Little Andaman are separated by the Deccan Pass. Next thing is Little Andaman and Nicobar are separated by the 10-degree channel. Little Andaman and Nicobar are separated by the 10-degree channel. And then overall the Indra point, which is the last point in the maritime boundary. ठीक है लास्ट पॉइंट दी मेरीटाइम बाउंड्री ठीक है ना नेक्स्ट ओवरऑल नारकोंडम Island or volcano which is in the North Andaman, and Barren Island, which is the capital also. ठीक है, वो आपका मिडिल अंडमान में पड़ जाएगा. Next thing is, overall, if we talk about the Lakshadweep and the Minicoy and the Maldives. So basically, Lakshadweep it is a coral island. You know about the coral sea polyps, है ना? So Lakshadweep it is a coral island. Now Lakshadweep and the Minicoy are separated by the 9-degree channel. Lakshadweep and Minicoy are separated by the 9-degree channel. And next, Minicoy and the Maldives are separated by the 8-degree channel. I'm repeating myself again from the start. South Andaman and Little Andaman are separated by the Deccan Pass. Next, Little Andaman and Nicobar are separated by the 10-degree channel. Next, Lakshadweep and Minicoy are separated by the 9-degree channel. And Minicoy and Maldives are separated by the 8-degree channel. Clear? This is what you need to understand from this section, and let me show you some better pictures too. Now, so from here also you may understand, okay, that overall in the northern in the North Andaman, okay, in the North Andaman you have what? In the North Andaman you have this saddle peak. You know, can you see the saddle peak? The saddle peak is there in the North Andaman. My stylus is not working here. Wait a minute. So Saddle Peak is there in the North Andaman. Saddle Peak is there. Okay, in the North Andaman. So North Andaman, Middle Andaman, and South Andaman. Okay, and South Andaman separated by the Little Andaman is by the Deccan Pass. One thing which is very important. ये important question. First question. Next question. The Little Andaman separated by the Car Nicobar by the 10-degree channel. This is the second question. These two are the important questions here that you need to understand. ठीक है ना? And Saddle Peak, which is the highest piece, which is the highest peak of Andaman and Nicobar. So basically, वो कहाँ पे है? It is in the North Andaman. The Saddle Peak, which is the highest peak, it is in the North Andaman. North Andaman. ठीक है ना? North Andaman. And some of the names of the islands of Andaman and Nicobar have been also renamed. है ना? So यहाँ पर here we have some islands, some or national parks. So it is the Middle Island National Parks, North Button National Parks, South Button National Park, Rani Jhansi National Park, Marine National Park, Mount Harriet National Park, and Mahatma Gandhi Marine National Park. So these are the some national parks here. Okay, so these are the things that you need to understand from here. Next, overall, this Campbell Bay or Galathea Bay national parks are also there in the Great Nicobar region. So this is the overall the importance of, this is overall the classification of the Andaman and Nicobar that you need to understand, you know, which is required from the perspective of the examination. Which is required from the perspective of the examination. Clear? Now, overall, next topic is the drainage system. But as I told you, that complete drainage system, river, their tributaries, distributaries, everything will be explained to you by the mapping section. Because if I'm going to explain the drainage system here only with the data or with the with some uh, lecture method, then will not very much feasible for you. And will be very much feasible, visible, and comprehensible the moment you're going to cover it from the mapping. These things we're going to cover from the mapping overall the drainage system of India. And what kind of drainage system is there, overall patterns, rivers, you see the Ganga River or Jamuna River, this is the your Brahmaputra. No, this is your Ganga River system. ठीक है ना? Yamuna. So all the river system will cover from the mapping section. So we are leaving this one for now. But in addition to that, some rivers are also there, some lakes are also there that you need to understand. So just have a look over them. Okay, na? Some lakes that are there. Now, these are the what is the lake, by the way? What is the lake? So lake is a kind of a water body where the water will be there, but this water is coming from the river only. And so first, if I talk about, let's say, if I want to put it in the sequence, so first comes the first comes the oceans. First comes the ocean, the largest water body. Then comes the sea, and then ocean, sea, and then you have what? Then you have rivers, rivers. Then you have, for example, lakes. Then you have ponds. In this way, in this is the overall sequence. So first comes the oceans, sea, river, lake, and pond. This is the overall the amount of the water present in a water body. That is, you need to understand. Next comes over a permanent lake, a seasonal lake. Just like in the river, we have seen some permanent rivers. Now, what are these permanent rivers? All those rivers which are coming from the Himalaya. Okay, because the Himalaya, what is there in the Himalaya? Himalaya, you have what? In the Himalaya, you have the ice, and which is melting. In Himalaya, you have the ice which is melting, and hence overall water is available, throughout the year. But this is not the case with the southern Indian rivers. They are not permanent rivers, they are the seasonal rivers. ठीक है ना? They will have the water, the maximum water availability of the water will be there only only in the case when the precipitation or proper rainfall happens. And the same with the lakes. So permanent lakes present all the years, and seasonal lakes contain water only during the rainy seasons. They will contain the water only in the rainy season. So rain or the precipitation is the only source of their water. Okay, then next comes the larger lakes. So basically, for example, Caspian Sea, Dead Sea, and the Aral Sea. Actually, the Caspian Sea, the name is given here, but Caspian Sea is not actually the sea. Okay, it is a lake. The Caspian Sea is not actually a sea, it is a lake. Okay, it is a lake which is enclosed by enclosed by the land. Clear? So Caspian Sea or Dead Sea, and as I told you about Dead Sea, overall the salt present in the Dead Sea is 330, nearly 330 grams per thousand. What does it means? It means that overall the availability of the salt is 330 gram in 1 liter. Just imagine, in 1 kg of water, 1 liter of water, you have 330 gram of the salt. So it is very much salty. And it is the saltiest lake. It is that much salty that if you want to swim on the Dead Sea, you will float. You will not going to downs. ठीक है ना? तो basically drowse, ना? DROSE, ड्राउज नहीं होगी, मतलब डूबोगे नहीं. ठीक है ना? नहीं डूबोगे. क्यों? Because the only reason is because of the presence of so much salt. So much and LLC. These are all are the Caspian Sea, Dead Sea, LLC. These all are the lakes. ठीक है ना? And next overall lakes also form the Oxbow lakes formation होता है. Now, have I told you? Yes, I believe I told you about the formation of the Oxbow lake that is mentioned there. So, for example, let's say, for example, the rain is the river is or lake is going in this direction, whatever it is going in this direction, and slowly over the period of time, when the river or lake is moving from one place to the place, definitely there's a reduction in the flow of the water and quantity of the water too. So the water flow and the quantity will reduce. And if the water flow and the quantity reduces over the period of time, what happens? Overall, now the river don't has that much push so that it can move forward. Then what happen? Then it will try to bend from here to here. Clear? So overall, this time the water don't have that much capacity, that much force that it can move directly in the straight path. No, it cannot move directly in the straight path. Hence, it needs to it tends to change its course, and that is overall known as the that is known as the overall meandering of the river, or meandering of the lake. This is known as the meandering of the river. I think now you can see it properly. This is known as the meandering of the river or meandering of the lake. Meandering of the river or meandering of the lake. Clear? Meandering of the river, meandering of the lake. Or this forms the Oxbow Lake. Oxbow Lake, as it has been mentioned here, Oxbow Lake. So now you got the reason for the formation of the Oxbow Lake. Now let us understand some of the important lakes. For example, here we have lakes like the Wooler Lake, which is the freshwater lake. Dal Lake is also the freshwater lake. ठीक है ना? महाराणा प्रताप सागर लेक, ठीक है ना? It is in the Himachal. And Kanjli Lake. Let me just explain you some important lake. For example, uh, this yellow one, this yellow one is the salt water, the brackish water. Baki the blue one is the fresh water. So this Pangongso Lake, it is the salt water or it is a brackish water lake. Now, what is the speciality about the Pangongso Lake is overall this lake was also in the news recently because of not recently, couple of years before, because overall the infiltration of the China. So China was infiltrating this region, and this Pangongso Lake basically lies two-third part is in the China and only one-third part is in the India. So in the India we have only one-third part, and in the China we have the two-third part. As was in the case of, let's say for example, if I talking about the Indus River. So in the Indus River, that agreement that has been concurred by the World Bank in 1960. So there's an agreement that has been concurred by the World Bank in 1960. And so according to the World Bank concurred this agreement. According to this agreement, India is only allowed to use 20% of the water of the Indus, and Pakistan is allowed to use the 80% of the water of the Indus. ठीक है ना? In addition to that, India can only make a run of the river project. Run of the river project. India can only make run of the river project over Indus. Run of the river project means India cannot hold the water of the Indus. Okay? India cannot hold the water of the Indus. Clear? So this is what you need to some understanding you need to have from here. Okay. Now next is a Govind Sagar Rupkund. Just go there. Sambhar Lake, we have already talked about Rajasthan, which is brackish water lake. Let us understand first the brackish water lake. Okay, na? And now you have this Lunar Lake, Chilika Lake. One more lake is there. This is important lake, which is also the saltwater brackish water lake, is the Pulicat Lake. What is important about this? Now this you can see the position of this Pulicat Lake. Now this is the overall. This is the border area, and this is the Andhra Pradesh, and this is the Tamil Nadu. Now, overall, this Pulicat Lake, it is on the border of the Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Yes, indeed, it is. So, Pulicat Lake, it is in the on the border of the Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. ठीक है ना? On the border of the Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, the Pulicat Lake. So, this is what you need to understand. Overall, the position of the Pulicat Lake. ठीक है ना? Next is the Kaleveli Lake. ठीक है, not very important अभी. Loktak Lake. Loktak Lake is also very important, which is a freshwater lake. Why does Loktak Lake is important? Basically, first of all, Loktak Lake, it is in the Manipur. Manipur. Loktak Lake, it is in Manipur. Now, next thing is Loktak Lake. It is important because overall, there's a national park. ठीक है ना? Loktak Lake, for example, Loktak Lake, it is a national park known as the Kebul Lamjao National Park. This national park is a floating national park. ठीक है ना? This is a floating national park. ठीक है? Floating national park. So this national park is floating on Loktak Lake. On Loktak Lake. ठीक है? And there's a deer known as the Sangai deer. Sangai deer. This Sangai deer jump. For example, this is the area, and this is the area of the national park. ठीक है? Now this area is now in the mid of it. What is there? This is water. This is filled with the water. So the Sangai deer. This is Sangai deer. The Sangai deer. This is the Sangai deer. For example, the Sangai deer jump from here to here. है ना? To just take itself from the water. Now this jumping of the Sangai deer, it looked like Sangai deer is dancing. Hence it is known as the Sangai deer is also known as the dancing deer. Dancing deer. And these patches are known as the Fumdi. Fumdi. Now this is something which is very important. But very important. फिर से मैं रिवाइज कर रहा हूँ. रिवाइजिंग करेंगे. लोकटक लेक कहाँ पे है? मणिपुर में है. केबुल लमजा नेशनल पार्क इज इन लोकटक लेक. And these Loktak Lake, this KG National Park is known as the floating national park because it looked like it is floating. ठीक है ना? Because of the lake. Next is there's a deer known as the Sangai deer. It moves from the one place of the national park to the other place, and the water is there in the mid. And because the moment it moves from one place to other place, it looks like jumping. Hence, it is known as the or dancing. Hence, it is known as the dancing deer. Clear? And next thing is the fumdi. What is fumdi? These things are known as the fumdi. इसको बोलते हैं fumdi. ठीक है? Let me show you the national park also. So this is the Kebul Lamjao National Park, and which is there in the Manipur. You may see it is there in the Manipur. ठीक है? Kebul Lamjao National Park, and these are known as the Fumdi. ठीक है ना? So for example, these patches Can you see these patches? Floating National Park. The heading is also there. Travel to the northeast India to see the world's only floating national park. So it is a floating national park, and Sangha deer jumps from one place to other place. Sangha deer jumps from one place to other place. Clear? Now, clear? So this is what you need to understand from here. ठीक है? ठीक है? And next is, let's say for example, Astamuri Lake, Sastamkotta, and Vembanad Coal Lake. So these three lakes are also important. Vembanad Coal Lake, it is the longest lake of the India. Longest lake. ठीक है? तो ये भी थोड़ा सा पता होना चाहिए. Now, some noticeable differences, understanding. Some noticeable lake, for example, in noticeable lake, we have first of it known as the Dal Lake. Dal Lake, कहाँ पे? It is in the JNK. Dal Lake is in the JNK, and this boat, this overall lake is known as the for the houseboats and the shikaras. So जो houseboat होते हैं in JNK we have the in JNK we have the Dal Lake, and this Dal Lake is very much famous for its houseboat. Houseboat means overall the boats are there, and the boats are made in the form of the house, and it is also known as the shikaras. The boats are known as the shikaras. ठीक है? Next, Chilika Lake, which is the lagoon lake. It forms the lagoon. Like, what is the meaning of lagoon? So, for example, this is the water. Mm, Now, this is. Let me show you the picture. Lagoon. It will be more visible and more. So, this is the lagoon. Now, for example, here what we see. Can you see this is the area of the oceans or sea. Now, what happened? This earlier this was the some very short or very thin strip. So over what happened? Over because of the flow of the water, and because of the you heard about the ebb and flow. We have heard about the ebb and flow in the geography. So because of the flow of the water, what happened? This water comes in this area. Okay, and now this water cannot go out. So this forms the lagoon. This form of the lagoon. So overall, you can call it as the backwaters. For example, backwaters in South India they are known as the Kyles. Okay, the backwaters are known as the Kyles. Okay, so this is the kind of a backwater. This is the kind of a backwater known as the lagoon. Because Chilka is the largest lagoon, it is in the Odisha. Then we have the Pulicat Lake in the Andhra Pradesh, Koleru Lake, and it is a freshwater lake. Sambhar Lake, which is in the Rajasthan, and it is a saltwater lake in the Rajasthan. Sambar, and sambar, a kind of dish which is very salty in nature. Next, we have the freshwater lake. For example, most of the freshwater lake they originate from the Himalayan region. I told you the region also. Okay, na? So why the why overall most of the rays are most of the rivers are originating from the Himalaya. So because there's a lot more ice, because there's a lot more ice, and most of the rivers are originating from the Himalaya. And when they are because they are originating, and hence because of the presence of the ice throughout the year, they will have the maximum presence of the water. So overall the flow or the presence of the water will not going to reduce over the period of time also. ठीक है ना? So maximum presence of water will be there. It is a perennial river. In the same manner, fresh water, अगर lake के बारे में बात करेंगे, if you are going to talk about the lake, so it is a perennial lake, है ना? So basically, mostly it is coming from the glacier origin. Then the Wooler Lake, it is the largest freshwater lake in India, result of the tectonic activity. Wooler Lake, which is in the GNK again. ठीक है ना? Roles and benefits है ना? You may make dam and oral hydroelectric project में, it will going to help you. Now, let us understand some of the major dams of India. Some of the major dams of India. So, for example, Bagliha Dam is also there, which is important. Bagliha Dam, okay. And next we have what? Tehri Dam in Uttarakhand, ठीक है ना? भागीरथी रिवर पे तेहरी, ठीक है ना? And then we have all most of the dams are important, ठीक है ना? Krishnaraj Sagar Dam is very important. ठीक है, Mettur Dam is important too, है ना? And also there's most of the time some disputes are also going on between the rivers, different rivers because they cover the different states. Hence, there comes a question that which state has largest stake on these rivers? Which state has the largest cover over these states? So hence overall, this rivers are important from this point of view also. Okay, so you'll see overall convergent river. The PDF says already shared to you. This is overall the river system, river system. So let us understand some of the things, and let later we'll understand each and everything in detail in the mapping sections. First, this is the industry. Industry is coming from this to this. What you need to understand from the like for the industry work. चलो पढ़ लेते हैं एक बार. What you need to understand for the industry work. चलो पढ़ ही लेते हैं. In case of the industry, overall, as I told you that overall in the 1960, the World Bank has concurred the treaty. Old India can use 20% of the water, and the rest 80% will be used by the Pakistan. India can only make a run of the river project, those kinds of things. Once they have asked a question also in the UPSC, as I repeated too, that which river is there in which two other rivers join. So Jhelum is the one river in which this Chenab and the Ravi joins. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. One more thing is there, that CGI, that is the Indus, Jhelum or Chenab. These are the three rivers whose water India or whose water Pakistan will going to use. Rest of the rivers India will going to use. Miss Rabi, Byas or Satluj. India iska water इस्तेमाल करेगी. That is what you need to know. Luni is known as the ephemeral river. Ephemeral river means ephemeral river. Ephemeral river means a kind of a river which will going to vanish or which will going to uh, come finish, है ना? During its course, during its path. That is known as the loony river. Loony river. है ना? So because of lot of the sand and this, it just moved away. It just removed. Get lost. Next is the Sabarmati. Sabarmati is also one river. Mahi is for example, some of the river, as I told you that overall, this western Ghat and this eastern Ghat, if I compare, so overall this western Ghat, it is more elevated. So hence most of the river, the Godavari, Bhima, Krishna, ठीक है ना? Or even the Pennas, most of the Kaveri, so most of the river they move from the west to east. Most of the river they move from west to east. Clear? Most of the river they move from the west to east. But some rivers, for example, this Narmada and Narmada, which is a Rift Valley river, or Mahi, ठीक है ना? Mahi Tapi. एक minute. The overall wording was नाम. I'll let you know. ठीक है ना? Proper detailing में I'll let you know. For example, right now, the Narmada, Mahi is also there, by the way. Narmada is a kind of river which will move going from the east to west. So some exceptions are also there here. ठीक है ना? Next, overall, Krishna, Kaveri, these are some of the rivers, important river. Godavari is also there. Mahanadi is also. Mahanadi, overall, delta of the Mahanadi is important. Swarna Rekha river. Ganga is a kind of a very big river in North India. There's the Ganga is coming, a lot of the tributaries, Gomti, Ghagra, Gandak, are the overall left bank tributaries, and Yamuna is the right bank tributaries. In this way, then you need to see that overall that what are the tributaries of the Yamuna itself. So in this way, there are a lot of the things that you need to understand, and I will understand slowly in the mapping section. Okay. Then comes here in the south, in the northeast India, the largest river is the Brahmaputra river. So Brahmaputra is coming here from here, and other rivers, for example, Lohit River, na Subhanshri or Manas, they will going to Barak. They will going to Barak to यहाँ जाएंगे से. They will going to meet the Brahmaputra. And in addition to that, Brahmaputra, because the moment Brahmaputra enters on the land in the Assam region. So overall, this is the region of Assam. This is the region of Assam. So, moment in this Brahmaputra enters in the region of Assam, it is somehow comes under the region of plain. Region of plain. Okay? This is known as the region of plain here. So, some cultivation, some agricultural. It is important from the point of view of some agriculture. ठीक है ना? Agriculture. ठीक है? Now, some of the mountain passes, and as I already told you, all the mountain passes, all the rivers, most of the rivers, and some lakes are also important. Okay, so some of the things, for example, let's say, for example, uh, ये तो पता होना चाहिए, दिस इज समथिंग आसिरगढ़ पास है ना, बोरघाट, ठीक है। एंड साउथ वी हैव द पालघाट, ठीक है। एंड देन ओवरऑल दीज काइंड ऑफ passes, दैट इज द अग्निहाल पास है ना, काराकोरम पास है ना, बनिहाल पास, जोजिला कहाँ पे है, जोजिला पास। दीज आर सम ऑफ द passes that you need to understand, है ना, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। नाकुला इज इन द सिक्किम, नाकुला, नाथुला और जलीपला, these all three are in the Sikkim, नाथुला, नाकुला और जलीपला all in the Sikkim, ठीक है। And Sikkim is also the India's first organic state. In addition to that, Sikkim we have the Kanchenjunga, which is a Ramsar site, national park, biosphere reserve, everything it is there. Hmm? Deepu Pass and these things are. Now this is, let us discuss some of the water, importance of the water in context of India. Even though we have seen a very good map, है ना, which map we have seen? Let me show it to you. What लगेगा? Let me. This map, this picture we have seen. Remember, this picture we have seen overall, in which I have classified that how much fresh water is there, how much overall saline water is there. These are the things, some of the things that we have classified. ठीक है ना? So overall 95% is the ocean water and only 2.5% is the fresh water. And even in that fresh water, है ना, 68 or 70% nearly, है ना, is in the form of the glaciers. Only 30% is groundwater and then surface water. So this diagram should always be there in your mind, yeah, with the crystal clear understanding. This diagram will always be in your mind with a crystal clear understanding कि बातचीत क्या हो रही है, what's the matter, ठीक है, what's the matter. Now comes the water in India. So overall, we'll understand some of the percentage of the water. So overall, 70% of the earth water is covered in the fresh water, as I told you. 3% of total. Main thing, what is the main thing? That overall water is a renewable resources and recycled resources. So you know water cycle. You heard about the water cycle. Water goes in oceans and then overall evaporation happened and then overall sublimation process started, है ना? And then again percolation or uh, precipitation again. So this is overall what kind of water cycle is a water cycle. So hence it is a cyclical resource or it is a renewable resource, है ना? Water के लिए. This is talking about the water. And apart from that, if we talk about the India, so in the context of India, so we as an Indian, we are the, we consume 2.455% of the world area. So world ka overall, if the area of the world is, let's say for example, 100 units. So we are living on 2.45%. So overall, this is the geographical area of the India. Next, overall, 4% of the world water resources we are consuming, and nearly, this 17% of the world population we are consist of. So right now, definitely the population has increased from the 17 to maybe 18. ठीक है ना? So overall, this is the data right now we have. So overall, more than 70% of the world population is constituted by the India. This is what you need to know. ठीक है? Next is overall, in the moment if you talk about the surface water, the rivers, lakes, pond, and overall tanks, these are the best resources or best overall ways in which you can store the water. ठीक है? You may store the water. So these are the best ways. Next is the groundwater resources. So in the groundwater resources, they look, the groundwater is extracted. Or in India, the maximum groundwater extraction happen in for the use of the agriculture. So people are using lot of water in agriculture. ठीक है ना? And this utilization of the water in agriculture, it is basically used for agriculture. Okay, and overall they are using for the intensive agriculture. For example, let's say they are growing the water intensive crops. For example, the rice and the sugar cane. These are the water intensive crops. They take to take a lot amount of water. ठीक है ना? And overall, this ultimately leads to the lower down the water level. है ना? The water level will goes down. ठीक है ना? And overall productivity of the land also decreases. ठीक है ना? तो high utilization में Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu. These are the regions where the groundwater uses is very much high. Even you need to understand that during the 5 year plan revolution, ठीक है ना? So that time maximum advantage has been taken by the uh, by the farmers of the Punjab and Haryana. Why? Because at that time, overall, using the HYV seed, that is a high yield variety seed, also the challenge. In addition to that, rest the small farmers, overall, and how they are uh, uh, overall rest is let me complete it again. I'm fumbling a little bit. So what I was saying, key mostly most advantage of the overall green revolution has been taken by the Punjab Haryana kind of a state. Why? Overall, because they were already affluent, so they have purchased the HYV seeds. They have purchased the HYV seeds. Next thing is, in addition to that, overall their area of the land was also quite big. So if let's say for example, the some farmers of the let's say for example UP Bihar, they do have the land, but their land was fragmented. Their land was fragmented, but this was not the case with the people of the Punjab and Haryana. So they have very big land. So definitely they have taken the maximum advantage of the green revolution of the government of India. ठीक है ना? That is overall uh, run by or overall the idea has been coined by MS Swaminathan. ठीक है ना? Low utilization, suppose Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Kerala, they were using the low moderate utilization was UP, Gujarat, and Bihar. They were using the moderate one. Lagoon in the backwaters. This is what we have already seen. So lagoon, we have understood what is the concept of lagoon. Let us understand the concept of the backwater. So backwater are the same. Backwater is the same. In the case of lagoon, what we have seen was also the case of the backwater. So the backwater is also the same. For example, in the Kerala, the backwaters are known as the Kyles. Kyle. Let me show you a picture of backwater too so that you may have more clarity. So let us understand the backwater of the this is the backwater. It is not very much visible. Okay, so from here you may have some understanding. This is the seawater overall. This is seawater. And now because of the sand and this and that, this seawater is going slowly from here to here. And this overall creating a larger water body here also. So this is known as the backwater and this is the actual water. Now, water demand and utilization. So overall, if I talk about India's two-third population of the India is dependent on agriculture. You know very well, more than 55%, 60% population is still in this 21st century, in this 2025, is still associated with in the agriculture. So they are finding their employment in the agriculture only. ठीक है ना? And high priority of the agriculture has been given to the 5-year plan. So this is what you need to understand. And some of the crops that need or that are water intensive crop, we call them as the water intensive crop. Rice and sugar and the jute, these are the water intensive crop. Again, in addition to that, sugar, in addition to that, in the right cultivation, people are using the method which is known as the that flood irrigation method, you know, flood irrigation method, which is inappropriate. Why? The main reason is of the flood irrigation method is that overall what happens, you just take a land and you grow the rice there. Okay? And for that, what you are doing, you are giving the groundwater. So you are ejecting, you're taking out the groundwater, and now you are pumping the groundwater on this particular ground. Okay? So what happened ultimately, slowly, because of that overall, this overall this area has been filled with the water. So this water will evaporate, and what is left behind? The salt is left behind, and that is something which is very much detrimental for overall soil of the health of the soil. This is very much detrimental in nature. Clear, everybody? Clear? Let me drink some water. So this is the overall idea behind the flood and irrigation method, which is not appropriate or not sustainable, I should say. This method is not very much sustainable in nature. ठीक है? Next was the Green Revolution strategy. As I told you, the Green Revolution was there for the whole India, but the maximum advantage has been taken by the Punjab, Haryana, and the Western Uttar Pradesh, not the eastern part, with the Western UP. Taken up because the overall they were having big land. First of all, land was big. Their land was big, so they're having the big land. In addition to the big land, overall, they are very much affluent too. Okay, they are very much affluent too. Okay, they are very much affluent too. Clear? Now, next things, groundwater irrigation, you know very well. है ना? Most of the groundwater is used by the Punjab only. ठीक है? So there are some methods in which you may, है ना, circular village tanks. You may make tank, है ना, or you may recharge the groundwater to the overall some methods. This is known as the recharging of the groundwater. So because of, let's say, these days what is happening? These days you are seeing that overall the roads are very much cemented. The roads are very much cemented or concrete. Concrete is there everywhere. ठीक है ना? Now because the roads is cemented, because the concrete is present everywhere, so what is happening because of that? So because the concrete is present everywhere, so because of that, what is happening? So overall, the surface water run off very easily. So for example, this is the surface. Now water, you know, percolate happen or evaporate. It is having, it is raining. So now because of raining, no problem. But overall, the water will going to flow away very easily because of the concrete surface. So it don't percolate inside the surface, and that is why it leads to lower down the water table. It leads to lower down the water table. So overall, it don't get the time to recharge. It don't get the time to recharge, and that is what you need to understand. What you need to consider. We need to give, if we are taking, listen, if we are taking the some natural resources, so in the same manner, if we are taking some natural resources, we also need to give some time to these resources to replenish themselves, to recharge themselves, to rejuvenate themselves. Okay, so this is what you need to understand. Okay, and now we'll talk about the Indian climate. Till now, if you have any problem, any confusion, just let me know. If you have any problem, if you have any confusion, just let me know. Till now, any problem, any confusion. Any problem, any confusion till now? You getting everything? If you're getting everything, just type yes. If concept are clear to you, type yes. So okay, I believe the concept are clear to you. No problem. Now we're going to talk about the Indian climate and some of the basic concept that we need to understand from here. Indian climate. Yes, thank you for the reply. Thank you for the first reply actually. ठीक है. So let us talk about the Indian climate, and next Indian climate we will discuss about the mapping part. So we are just about to finish this PDF, this notes, and then we'll talk about the next section. Now, Indian climate. So first you need to understand the difference between the climate and the weather. So weather is there and climate, and I believe I have asked this question once already. So what is the difference between the climate and weather? So weather is a day-to-day phenomena. It is a day-to-day phenomena. Weather is a day-to-day phenomenon. It changes every time. For example, the moment you wake up early in the morning. So in mobile, you see a message. है ना? What's the weather of today? So they don't say the climate. It's weather. So weather is a day-to-day phenomena, but climate is a long-term weather. Long-term weather is known as the climate. So long-term weather is known as the climate, and this is a day-to-day phenomenon. Clear? Now, here we have what? Here we have the regional variation. First of all, in the climate is regionally varied. So basically, climate varies from one region to another region. Climate varies from one time of the year to the other time of the year. ठीक है, it varies. So basically, there's a regional variation first of all. And in addition to that, there's a variation in terms of the wind pattern, temperature, rainfall, rhythm, degree of wetness. So overall, n number of the geographical factors are there that are responsible for the change in the climate of one region from the another region. For example, in this time, the climate of the Russia is very harsh. The climate of the J&K, Jammu Kashmir is very hard. The climate of the northeast states are very high. Meghalaya का बहुत hard होगा. But not with the case of Maharashtra, not with the case of very much, for example, Bihar, UP. Getting a point. So these are the things that you need to understand. Next is this is what we have seen. So there's a temperature variation. So temperature may vary. Now, when you talk about the, for example, temperature. So, for example, if I talk about, let's say, desert area. For example, Thar Desert. So the overall temperature of the Thar Desert may rise very high up to 55 degrees Celsius during the day, but it falls at up to 15 degrees Celsius. Mean it is very cold at night. ठीक है ना? Very cold at night. Now, why it is so? Why it is so? Why it is so? Remember, I told you about the concept of the specific heat. Specific heat. What do you mean of specific heat? So any object, let's say this is the object. If it heats very fast, and if it also cools down very easily, it has lower specific heat. Lower specific heat. So overall, if I talk about the sand, if I talk about the sand or SiO2, silica. So the silica, the specific heat of the silica is very less. This means it will cool down very easily. It will it will heat up also very easily. It will cool down very easily. It will heat up also very easily. So this is the overall meaning of the this is the overall meaning of the specific heat. So hence, because of this reason, during the day overall the sand heat up very easily. So it reaches up to the 55 degrees Celsius, but during the night it is only 15 degree Celsius. And this also the condition with the Leh Ladakh and Tawang of Arunachal Pradesh, it is also in June touch 19 degrees Celsius. Okay. Now why and what is the difference? The moment I talk about the deserts, remember deserts. So deserts are of two types. For example, the cold and hot. So hot means, for example, Thar desert is a hot desert, but the Ladakh one is the cold one. So this is what you need to understand from the perspective of the desert. The desert can be hot and cold, and then overall the temperature variation that they are having. The temperature variation that they are having. Okay? In the coastal area, the temperature is throughout the year it is less constant or it is normal temperature. For example, if you go Pune, so overall the temperature of the Pune and the Maharashtra will be moderate, not very much high, not very much cold. Okay, na? Next, overall the precipitation means the rainfall. So, for example, snowfall. So during the look, if you talk about the J&K, Jammu and Kashmir, so there's a snowfall happen. These days, the snowfall is there in the J&K. Now, what is the snowfall? How does snowfall? Snowfall is nothing just the normal precipitation, but when it comes in the contact of the atmosphere, so because the atmosphere is very hot, atmosphere is very cold. At that time, these droplets turn its shape into the snow, and hence falls the snow. So basically, it also changes from the season to season. Higher precipitation area. So any area which increase or which takes the overall the 200 centimeter of the annual rainfall. For example, as I told you, in mainland India of the UP, for example, in the UP, Bihar, in this area, overall average rainfall is 200 centimeters. So if you are having a 200 centimeter of the rainfall, it is decent. 200 centimeter decent. If it is more than 200, if it is more than 200, quite good, very good. In the hilly area, in desert area, for example, in the Thar desert, overall precipitation will be less than 10 centimeter per year. I'm talking about a year. Then Thar desert, the overall precipitation is less than 10 centimeter. Next comes the receives. If I talk about the Meghalaya, so Meghalaya is more than 400 centimeter of the annual rainfall. And especially which area of the Meghalaya? So Meghalaya, we have the area, for example, earlier it was the Cherrapunji, Cherrapunji, but right now we also have the Mawsynram. So Mawsynram is a place. Mawsynram is a place which has the highest rainfall in India. India में highest rainfall कहाँ पे है? Mawsynram, which is in the Meghalaya. And Meghalaya में also we have the Garo Khasi Jayantiya. ठीक है? मेघालय में गारो खासी जयंती है अबोड आफ्लम मिशमी इट इज इन द अरुणाचल and Ladakh में obviously as I told you less than 10 centimeter precipitation in the Ladakh or in the western Rajasthan. Western Rajasthan means they're talking about the Thar desert. So in the Thar area, we have the less than 10 centimeter of the rainfall, and this is the case with both the Ladakh and the Thar. ठीक है ना? Less than 10 centimeter of the annual rainfall. Latitude also the latitude, latitude overall. The climate also depends on the latitude, as I told you. Quite simple. This is the overall sun. Sorry, this is the overall earth. So overall, when the sun, let's say for example, this is the sun. So overall, let's say sun is casting its ray on the equator, on equator, for example. So overall, this will heat up. Means tropical area will heat up. If sun is casting its ray in the northern area, or it is, for example, it is a summer solstice. If it is a summer solstice, okay. So in this case, what happens? Here, right now, maximum sunlight is in this area, and here it is very much heat. But you know where right now, if I talk about which is going on, right now it is winter solstice which is going on. So sun is casting its ray in this direction. In the winter solstice means. So in this manner, winter solstice means sun is casting it in the southern space, and here this means the winter is going on. Okay, winter is going on. This means what? This means what? Always remember this thing. What I told you during when I was teaching you about the surface current, means ocean current. So there I told you one thing. What I told you? Okay, let's say for example this is the water. This is the water. This is water. Overall, only the cloud will form only in the case if the temperature is very high. Then only the water will evaporate, and then it will get mixed with the some particles and this and that, and then forms a very big cloud. Very big cloud. Clear? Very big cloud. So this is the meaning is overall for the precipitation to happen, what you need? You need good amount of energy. So for example, mostly the precipitation and overall kinds of the flora and fauna they live in the tropical area. Because in the tropical area you have maximum insolation and the maximum precipitation. In tropical area you have maximum insolation and the maximum precipitation. Okay, that is what you need to understand from here. So latitude, yes, they do play a major role in the basically tropical. Sorry, they do play a lot of role latitude in climate determination. In climate determination, altitude also plays very much role. As I told you in simple terms, What I told you. For example, if this is the let's say border of the earth, this is the let's say land of the earth. This is land. In this case, as you go above the land, the temperature, pressure, and density pressure and density will going to decrease, and as you go inside the earth these things will increase. This is the basic understanding regarding the three basic fundamental quantities: temperature, pressure, and density. Clear? Clear? ठीक है? A lot of the factors are there. चलिए आज के लिए इतना करते हैं. Next they will talk about the relief features and wind pressure, and these things we'll talk about. Till now, if you have any doubt, anything, you may ask. बताइए. आज के लिए इतना ही करते हैं. Till now, if you have any doubt, anything, any confusion, you may ask. Okay, so I hope you don't have any doubt, any confusion. Then I'll meet you tomorrow on the same time, on the same place, with the same energy. You know, some more energy. Today, I believe some energy was low. Okay, so till then, take a goodbye. Thank you. This is Mohit signing off. Jai Hind. Jai